piano lesson number 32. So today we're going to be talking about leaps, basically how to do them. What we're going to try to do is focus on how to get over great distances across the piano with looking at the keyboard and without looking at the keyboard. So we wanted to sort of take a look at, well, not we, me. I want to take a look at showing you guys how to play, like, you'll see a lot of it in Chopin and like Liszt, and actually a lot of composers at the higher level you have to do big leaps. So that can be more challenging to do, especially if you don't know exactly how to do them. It's not so straightforward. So I'm going to show you guys how to do those, and hopefully that helps you guys progress further. Alright, so the point of this lesson here is basically to show you how to get from point A to point B without looking at the keyboard. So basically what you're going to try to do is learn to play the leaps in your songs blind, so you don't actually have to watch what you're doing. Now, doesn't that sound difficult? It actually isn't that hard. I guess I shouldn't be too nonchalant about it. It does take a little bit of practice, but once you get it down, then it's not going to be too hard. Then you'll just have to do a little bit of maintenance on it once in a while. Okay, so basically how do we start here? Maybe I should prove to you, or at least tell you about something that shows you that you could play a piano without being able to see the keys. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know of this, but there's a pianist by the name of Ray Charles. Maybe you've seen the movie? Anyway, when he was young, he had an accident or whatever. He lost his sight at an early age, and he basically learned to play the piano from scratch, never being able to see the piano. Now, how do you like that? So basically, this guy learned the piano, learned how to play it, learned without actually knowing what it looks like, or maybe he did know what it looks like. Maybe he saw it once when he was a kid, but I mean, usually your memory isn't that good. I think he was like 5 or something when he got in an accident. But anyway, so basically what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to be able to see the keys and everything to know where they are. Okay, so all it is the distance between from here to here, right? It's just a distance. And your body can measure that distance. How far is this? Eventually it'll get better and better at playing that. So as I do it more and more, the tactile memory in my body, in my brain, is going to start to remember that distance. It's not going to be that, or this, that's too far, right? It's going to be that. Okay, so there's a few steps that you want to go through. Playing leaps. How do you play them without seeing? Well, what you'll do first is you'll find the spots, like as you're playing through your piece, for instance, you're going to find some spot, like maybe that you just have to play without looking. Now, when you have something like that, like say you have to go from, I don't know, like here to there. Okay, so say you have to do that without looking because somehow you have to do something down here. There's another leap. Say there's like a leap on each hand, right? I don't know. Just like that. So you have to look at one hand, or maybe you don't want to look at either hand. You could just close your eyes and play that. Right? You could just go like that. So what you're going to do first is you're going to look really carefully at this. You're going to go. Now as you do it, then start to close your eyes and see if you can still hit the notes. And then open them periodically and check to make sure. Now while you're doing this, you want to be in your mind, try to measure the distance. Feel the difference in your body. It's really hard to explain, but it sort of feels like everything's blackness for me, and then I see this one key here, and I see another key here, and it's like these are the only two keys, and then this is the distance in between, and these are my landing spots. And that's how I see things. That's how I see a leap once I'm good at that leap. Like, I'm not good at that leap yet. Each new leap that you do takes practice, basically, because it's slightly different than another leap. I mean, unless you've practiced every single leap in the entire piano that's possible, like going from here to there and there to there. right? There's so many different leaps everywhere and different body positions, so it's sort of a different experience every time. So the stage you want to go into is playing it slowly first, like with closing your eyes and opening them and closing and opening, getting those two down, okay? And picturing in your mind playing those notes, going from here, going up to here, and playing into them, okay? So when you're doing that, it's really important that you see it in your mind and that you don't actually see it by sight. You feel it by the feeling, like you're closing your eyes and you're going, and that feels about right, just like that, okay? So it's like the feeling of where that is. And that's actually how you play octaves too. These things, like I know exactly how much an octave is. Like this is an octave. My hands, that's an octave right there. Anyway, but yeah, so it's all about feeling the octave, feeling the distance, feeling whatever you're playing the third, playing the, whatever the distance is, try to feel it and see it in your mind without actually seeing it in real life, okay? Just go, oh, that feels about right. And when it starts to feel right, then you know you're getting somewhere. So that's the first step, is analyzing that, playing it by really paying attention, making sure that you don't hit anything wrong. Did you know if you make one mistake with something, like if you're trying to learn something and you make one mistake, you have to do it 13 times the correct way just to make sure that you wipe out that old way. So every time you make a mistake once, you have to do it 13 times perfectly over without making a mistake. So 13 times in a row, perfect, to wipe out that mistake that you just made, to make it go away completely. So that's why it's really important that you just like, okay, just like that. And once you do it like that, if you make sure that there's no mistakes in there, then you're not going to introduce any weird things. Because maybe in your brain it's all just algorithms and numbers and stuff. And if it's always the same one every single time, they're going to be like, aha, that's how you do it. But if you give them this, and then you give them another one, and you give them another one, and you give them another one, it's going to be like, huh, which one do I use? Because itself, it doesn't really know which one's correct, right? It only knows what's correct by us feeding it over and over and over and over again. It just uses what it's used to getting received. So whatever it's used to receiving a lot, then it's going to get better at that. So that's why we always make sure, try not to feed it anything wrong and only feed it what we want. And then we'll learn faster that way. Okay, so that's the very first part of getting a leap down. Then there's things that you want to add to it once you're done. So let's go into that. Okay, so one of the next things is, how do we need to go from leap to leap? Like say we want to go from here to here. Well, you want to actually go through this kind of emotion if you're watching your leap, okay? Like say we're playing like a Chopin piece. Can you see that chord? Oh, you can, cool. So as you're doing this, actually, what you want to do is sort of in one motion come to here. So it's not like this, up, over, down, up, over, down, up, over, down. You want to just go leap off, crash, leap over, crash. Just like that. Now why you want to do that is because it's less motions, it's more fluid, and it's more relaxed. It takes less effort, less time is also a big factor, because if you're doing this, it can be a really hard thing to do quickly, but if you do this, definitely is actually accurate with that. Okay, it'll be faster because it's only one motion. So it's like, you know, in a game, if someone takes 4 turns to do a move, an action, and someone takes 1 turn to do an action, who's going to do it faster, right? Like, say you want to screw in a light bulb, and you, one person, they take a light bulb and a ladder, they go over. Then that's one action. Then they take another, they put on a ladder. That's another action. Then they step up the ladder. That's another action. Then they screw the light bulb in. That's another action. What if someone was like so fast, like so intense that in one motion they just like like ran and then they just did this little jump thing, and then as they were jumping, then they just screwed everything and then fell down and then just kept going. Wouldn't that be way more intense and faster? Yeah, and it'd probably look really cool too. Anyway, so what we want to do, here's some things that I use. Think of like a missile. Like here's like an international missile. And they're just like, let's just launch the missile. Well, not let's just launch the missile. That sounds retarded. T-7 seconds to launch. Acquiring launch target. So say they want to hit this and they want to blow this up. Okay? So it's just like aiming missile. You know, they do all the mathematical calculations. And then it's just like, so they just arc it. It just launches. And then it just comes down and crashes right into the target. Because as you know, missiles don't go like this. Like that. They aren't going all weird, right? They basically have to use their momentum and arc into the area that they're going to go into. So what we want to do is launch off here like this. Launching, launching, launching. And then coming in. And just landing. How you do that is actually, instead of thinking about the note you're coming off, look to the note that you want to go to. So look here, and then just let your arm magnetize into it. Almost like there's magnets pulling it in there. Just like that. With more practice you'll get better than I am right now, because, yeah, I'm just not doing very well at this. Anyway. Okay, so that would be magnetizing or acquiring the target, so to say. So you can think of a missile just coming over or a magnet coming over. Okay, so another thing you can do is you can basically, another thing to think about is just make a rainbow and think, here's the pot of gold. And keep your eyes locked on the pot of gold. And then once you get better at locking it, and you notice the space, like with your tactile memory, muscle memory, then you just do it eyes closed. I messed up. I had my eyes closed there and it wasn't good enough yet. But yeah. Okay, so making a rainbow, you can shoot a missile off, you can think of a magnet. I mean, there's so many different things you can use. It's kind of cool, eh? So there's all these different ways that you can basically try to use your mind to help you do a task. So there's so many little different tasks out there. Whenever you come into a new task that you need to accomplish, always try to see how you can get your mind to create a solution to the problem. Okay? Because there's chances are that there's going to be some little small task that you're finding a problem doing that somehow I haven't covered, because I mean I haven't covered every single topic there is to piano and music, and I don't see how that, like, I mean I could probably make videos my whole life and still miss topics and little problems, but that little universal tip can help you learn your own problems that you're encountering, which I'd rather you do, because my whole philosophy here is not to basically just spoon feed you stuff all the time and make you dependent on what I'm teaching. It's more that I'm trying to make you independent. Like I show you what you the core things, and then I send you off and you can do the work for yourself. It's all about being self-motivated. The person that's self-motivated will actually do much better than someone who is relying on a teacher to motivate them. That's the person that's going to go far. Someone that wants to do it themselves. Like, for themselves, they want to do it so bad. They're not doing it just because the teacher keeps hanging them in there every week at the lesson, just convincing them that piano is so cool. It's the person that just finds so much enjoyment out of piano. They use it as a relaxation tool or whatever like that. Those kind of people will always do much better than the people that don't have the motivation to keep going. And usually that's just because they haven't really found what they like in piano or music, or they haven't really given it a shot, or maybe they're just thinking about it in a wrong way. It's like they think about it differently than, like they just think of it as a chore instead of something to just sit and enjoy. It's like you know, if you think of eating chocolate, if you're a chocolate taster, and that would be a really good job, by the way, but say you're a chocolate taster, if you think enough that chocolate tasting is work, then you're going to get into this mind taste that eating chocolate isn't really that great anymore, right? Just because your mindset is, oh, chocolate is work, even though chocolate is good, right? Like, it's really sweet and really nice and everything. But it's all about the mindset. Like, the people that think, oh, chocolate, yummy, right? Those people enjoy it. And that's kind of like piano. So if they think, oh, piano, work, or piano, yummy, although they're not eating the piano, but yeah. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so keep the motivation. I don't really know why I went onto that topic. I seem to inject random things in my lessons here. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing here is feeling the spaces. So this is talking about when you're sight reading or something like that. Now what you actually want to do is, I can probably show this to you without the camera being up there. So I'm going to take it off actually. So when you're trying to play basically by feeling the keys, how do I do it? Well, basically what I do is I use the black keys when I'm not looking at the keyboard to find where I am. Like, people ask, well, if you're not looking and you want to play blindly, like if you want to play a leap or play an interval without looking at the piano, how do you do it? How do you look at the piano? How do you look at your music and still play? Like, well, basically I'm feeding it's sort of like a feeder. Like, I look at an interval, right? And I just think, oh, well, that's a third up, and that's a third up from that, and that goes up a sixth, or whatever. So if I tell my finger to go up a third, then I'll go up a third. So that's basically how I'm getting it, but then how do I know where I am without looking? Well, that's a good question. What I do is I use my fingers here, and I go like this into the black keys. And by this, I can tell that's 2. If I go like this, I know that this is the 3 and this is the 2, and this is the 3 here, and over here is the 2 here. So same like right here, right? And now I need to play like a C and then go up to the D flat. So what I'll do without looking is I'll go like this. I know that these are the 3 here, so I just put my pinky down into the space and then slam it over until I find the black key here, and now I can't go any further, and then I just push down. And then I just go up from that to semitone. Like that. So that's like the fail-safe way that I do it. I just push over. And I use my fingers to figure out logically where the next key would have to be. And if I'm doing like this, then I know, okay, well, this is the first black key here, so this must be G. Or if this is the first black key, this has to be F. So that's how I know where I am, basically. Is I just use the black keys and I go like that a little bit, and I figure out where I am, and it only takes me a little bit of time. And usually I memorize where I am anyway, and then I don't really have to figure out much after that, if you know what I mean. So it's all about sort of like moving your thumb, you know, smashing into that key, playing where you have to, going down, and using basically like the distances, like the intervals. Like, it's sort of like you have to memorize. Like, you will play like this an octave quite a bit, and you'll know how far an octave usually feels. And then you won't even have to look anymore. So that's one of your options, basically, is just basically playing different intervals and closing your eyes and getting used to how those different intervals feel. And then playing them in another key, like D flat major or something. That's a third, that's a third. So that you're getting used to feeling how far each interval is from each key. So basically you have to figure out what an interval from a sixth, from a C is, and also from every other key too. So a D flat and a, well, there's a sixth. Right? You just keep going up. And then what you'll do is after you've done that, basically what you could do is you take an interval and you could go up chromatically each note until you get to here. Then you could take your next note, like D flat, and then once you get to C, then you do your next interval, so like a major second. Then once you get to C again, then you go back and you do like a minor third, And you can go over those with your mind closed over and over and over. And then that'll help you there. Then you can go to like a third, and then, well, a major third, then a perfect fourth, an augmented fifth. And you just go up until you've covered every interval that you could possibly think of. Like that your hand can go over, and then your hand will know all the intervals. Kind of cool, eh? So yeah, you go over those intervals with your hand, eyes closed. Make sure you let those intervals seep into your brain. So it could take you maybe like 4 or 5 hours. Like maybe you could memorize like, I don't know, 2 intervals a day. So you could memorize what a minor second and a major second feel like in every key. And there you go. Like, I mean, it's only 12 keys. It's not like it's asking you to memorize huge amounts of data or anything. Just like do 2 keys a day, and then, maybe within about 6 days or so, you will have all the intervals that would be under your hand, because most people don't play ninths or tenths or whatever. After that, then it's just leaping. So yeah, you can play all those intervals under your hands by just learning each one individually, like with the exercise I just gave you. So yeah, those are leaps, intervals, playing without looking, and there you go. So you just feed your hands those intervals and they'll play them automatically. You just tell them and bam. Because I mean, for you to say that doesn't work, that would be like you saying, well, if I close my eyes and I tell my pinky to wiggle, I can't wiggle it unless I open my eyes. Right? We're capable of moving parts of our body without having to look at them because we have feeling, we have touch. So that's basically it. Anyway, take care, guys. 32. So hopefully those leaps, or what I've told you about leaps, is going to help you in the future to continue your progress with piano. So remember, it's all in the mind and how we look at what the task at hand is. So if we look at it with a good mentality, you could say, the outcome is probably going to be better. So always think, how can I make this better? Anyway, so take care, guys. Keep practicing, and see you later.